Welcome everyone to the fourth episode of the Idea series by What Are You Made Of? My name is Uzair Iqbal and I'm your host. Uzair like knock knock who's there, and Iqbal like kickball, so it's easier to pronounce that way. The Idea series is where I talk to companies that are making consumer products out of recycled, upcycled, reclaimed or repurposed materials and how they're impacting the world in a positive way. So I wanted to understand how they came up with those innovative ideas in the first place, then turned it into a business idea, and possibly use their story to inspire other creators around the world. So today, I'm happy to showcase a company called Circular Blu that uses blue sterilization wraps from hospitals and recycles them into tote bags. And I'm wearing blue for the video as well for that. A novel idea that I heard about an object that I didn't know existed until just a few months ago, but I'm glad to find something that is being done about it. So to talk more about that, I have with me the co-founder of Circular Blu, Christopher Bodkin, who as recent as 2018 was featured in the Green Biz magazine's 30 Under 30 distinction. So please welcome Christopher Bodkin.
Hey. Hello. Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No problem, no problem. I'm glad that we finally connected and we're able to do this. So I really wanted to let people know this crazy object that I didn't know about, and now apparently it is a big waste stream within the healthcare industry. So tell us a little bit about how you turn, or what is Circular Blu in the beginning? Yeah.
Well, we are a circular economy consulting and manufacturing firm, and our initial project was to attempt to tackle sterilization wrap. And sterilization wrap is a polypropylene number 5 plastic that's used in the healthcare setting to wrap surgical kits prior to surgery to keep the utensils sterile. And much of this material is utilized and then disposed of through the municipal solid waste stream when it's still perfectly sterile. And millions of pounds of this material is thrown out every year, and it's a huge opportunity to be able to reclaim some of this plastic going in the landfill and try to do other things with it.
Gotcha. So this is something that they use to wrap up all the instruments, right? Because right before they're about to go to surgery, they can't just pick something off the rack. It had to be kept in a sterile environment. So I just didn't know this was a thing, and I just thought they just, unwrapping in plastic packaging and just taking out some snippers or clippers or whatever it is that they've taken out. So I can imagine with the amount of surgeries and with the amount of just operations going on in a hospital, and then multiplying that throughout the country is going to be a huge amount of waste. So what was your inspiration for actually getting into this in the first place?
So in college, I was able to do some work with a company called the Healthier Hospitals Initiative, and I was getting into healthcare sustainability a little bit in college. And then these two great colleagues of mine who told me about the waste problem in healthcare. They knew a lot of nurses and they knew a lot of people in healthcare, and they identified this material stream and they said, this would be a great idea for a business. So we all went into business together and trying to figure out the most strategic and beneficial way to gather, sort, and upcycle initially this material into products that can be sold back into healthcare or into the consumer market. So healthcare sustainability has always been something that I've worked on, and identifying these waste streams and being able to keep this material out of the landfill and create beneficial products and create sustainable and green jobs has always been something that we focus on. So that was the inspiration, is just understanding healthcare, understanding the amount of materials that are being thrown away every single day. And when those materials are sterile and don't interact with patients, they can be reclaimed and turned into new things.
Nice. So I imagine in the first phases of joining or creating this business, You had to reach out to a lot of hospitals. So what was that pitch like? Was it like, hey, you have this waste, we'll come and pick it up for free? Or is it more like, let's work on trying to find a logistic, system to kind of get it to us before we even end up getting it to recycle?
We had very humble beginnings. My brother and I started a program in Western Massachusetts where we worked with people with disabilities, and we worked with one of the key hospitals out there. And the pitch basically was, we will come collect this material for free as long as you keep it sterile and ensure that it's pre-incision. And from there, my brother Gavin and co-founder, he actually taught himself how to sew, and then taught a group of people with disabilities how to sew. And we started creating the first bags. And then we were connected with some corporate partners who loved the story. And that's how it started, just sewing bags in a basement in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Nice. And I do want to point out that you guys are based out of Massachusetts, right?
Currently, actually, our headquarters are in central New Hampshire in a town called Bradford, New Hampshire. When we initially started the business, we were based out of Medford, Mass. And we were collecting blue wrap from Mass General, UMass, and other Boston hospitals. But as we've evolved and the business model has grown, we came back to where we were raised in beautiful New Hampshire and set up our headquarters here.
Nice. So I imagine the surgeon's getting ready and he has to focus on the patient, and then the staff around him is just trying to unwrap everything and just disposing of the blue wrap in, let's say, a plastic bag. So talk about that journey from the time it's in a plastic bag, still in sterile environment, to the point it becomes a whole new tote bag.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing we need to say is, for all of this to work, you need to have engaged and OR staff that cares about sustainability, because these people see the amount of waste that's going out every single day. And a really engaged nursing staff, a clinical champion, once you engage them around what you can do with this material, they, after they unwrap the sterile underwrap or overwraps prior to surgery, then we ask them to put that material in a bag, and then before a patient is rolled in, they tie that bag off and either put it outside the OR suite or at least tie it. And then so the next step, and this has evolved because we have brought this program through partnerships to a national level. So the best way to get the material to us is to work with a logistics partner, an organization that works in the hospitals and can aggregate the material. And then we can pick up the material, and then we have two different methods of creating products. Initially, we were upcycling bags. So here's a piece of blue wrap. You can see the daisy print.
Yeah.
And initially, we were upcycling the material, which is just taking the material and ripping off the tape manually, because they tape the blue wrap to the kits. Okay. And then cutting it and then sewing it into tote bags like this. You can see this is a tote bag made out of white and blue, and this is an upcycled tote bag. You can see the sewing of this tote bag. So that's one of our methods, is pure upcycle. Cut and sew, gather, segregate, and make products to sell. As we've grown, we've created another process, which is to be able to gather thousands and thousands of pounds of blue wrap, and then we pelletize it. So this is pelletized blue wrap here.
Just like little tiny balls, right?
Yeah, these are plastic pellets. So the process goes, you put all the blue wrap in something called a densifier, which heats and lightly grinds it, and it becomes kind of like a popcorn process. And then once you have that popcorn, you can feed that through an extruder,
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get these pellets that drip in water.
Yeah.
So once you have the pellets, you can make a bunch of different things. You can make blow mold products like wash basins, bedpans to sell
Oh,
back
wow.
into healthcare that are
Mm-hmm.
circular products.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that we've done is we've re-rolled the pellets back out into non-woven polypropylene,
Okay.
into sheets, and then we've fed the sheets into an automatic bag making machine. So there's no
Nice.
thread in this bag. This bag was made by a machine, and we can make them in high volume at lower price, and we can recycle thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds of blue wrap every year and make mass quantity products.
That's neat. I didn't know you could make a bag without the thread of it. And so that's a neat concept that you came up with then.
Yeah,
so
well,
I want
sorry.
Go ahead.
All of this was made possible through strategic partnerships. You know, one of the most important things about circularity is engaging the maker of the material and having them be engaged in programs that give their products a second life. If you don't have buy-in from the maker, it becomes a much more difficult thing to scale.
Yeah.
And through partnerships with recycling groups throughout the years, we've been able to hone our process and create some pretty streamlined products to sell directly back into healthcare, closing the loop and creating the circle.
Gotcha. And we've had some viewers join in, so I want to give them sort of the headline that today we have Circular Blu and Christopher Bodkin, who's a co-founder. He's talking about how they turn blue sterilization wraps from hospitals that keep all the instruments for surgery sterile, and they turn it into tote bags. One of the things that we talk about, and that is just right in your name, circular, is the circular economy. So people don't really think of going to the hospital and contributing to the circular economy. But can you tell us a little bit about how that circular process works? So I imagine this tote bag, if someone wanted to give it back to you, it can be turned into something. It can be turned into like a new tote bag again, right?
Absolutely. Well, so one thing that we've been able to do over the years is we've created a circular template. And a circular template is a way to identify a waste stream and create a strategy to circularize it. There are a few inputs that go into this template. One, as I already mentioned, is engaging the initial producer and then engaging the user. And then logistics is always the most difficult thing in a circular model. Identifying a logistics partner or a way to be able to aggregate material. And then while you're creating those processes, you need to create a secondary life product market.
Yeah.
And that secondary life product market needs to be able to support the logistics and the gathering to create a functional circle. So when we worked with Blue Wrap, we needed to, because we've made ties. Like here, I have a laptop bag we made like 10 years ago.
Nice.
And
Nice.
We made a whole bunch of different things initially, but we realized to be able to continue to actually recycle, we need to have a product that we can create at volume and mass and be able to re-engage where it came from in the sale of that product. That's why creating tote bags and selling them back to hospitals for patient belonging bags is not only a good story, but it's part of the tight circle that allows the material to continue to be recycled in a financially stable way.
So I imagine there's going to be a lot of this blue wrap around in the hospitals because there's so many different, just large number of hospitals around the country. Can you give us an idea that if this model did not exist, or just in general, how many of these get wasted, just straight up thrown in the trash?
Yeah, so there are different numbers floating around. We've heard all the way up to 100 million pounds of this material thrown into landfills or incinerated, to 30 million pounds of sterile material that is also thrown into landfills. So if you think about it in a pure feedstock way, to compete with virgin plastics that are being made from pulling out petrochemicals from the ground, it is a pure and a clean feedstock to be able to create a whole line of products without the extraction. You know, it's given a second life. So there's such a huge opportunity, and Blue Wrap is just one of the medical plastics. Saline bottles are also made from polypropylene. They can go through the same process. We're having conversations with companies about drapes and dividers and all of those types of products that can all be circularized. And then the sweet spot would be to make the same product out of the downcycled material from that product. So make drapes out of drapes.
Nice, nice. So I imagine that if this product, just like 30 million pounds is just a huge number to wrap our heads around, right? So people can't really understand that how much is that equivalent to, but sort of having that model in front of them. And when you're in a hospital and you realize, hey, I just came out of a surgery, and then I'm still contributing a little bit to the environment because that hospital is now, you know, putting it back into making a bag for me that I can take my belongings. So for hospitals, or just as an everyday average person, how can we go about contributing to that? How, do we have a voice as to like where we choose our hospitals and ask, hey, are you doing something with your Blue Wrap?
Absolutely. Well, as an everyday person, and this might sound, you know, this might sound pretty repetitive or straightforward, but just use a reusable tote bag when you go shopping as much as possible. It's an extremely low-hanging fruit. I know currently there are different places that are banning that, but when things potentially normalize, use a reusable tote bag. Preferably, look at which reusable tote bag you use. Hopefully not from virgin material, hopefully not made overseas, and one that can be put back into a circular model. And then when it comes to the healthcare side of things, hospitals and the healthcare system has always had a hard time conveying to their patients that they care about environmental sustainability. And one of the most direct ways they can is providing a tote bag made from their own waste to every patient. So they give every patient a bag to put their clothes in. If that bag is reusable, then the patients can reuse that over and over out in the community. If the health system or hospital brands it with their brand, that's marketing. So having people talk to their doctors, talk to their nurses. If they know about medical plastics as a problem and patients start speaking about it, then hospitals would be more apt to tackle it and do something about it.
And that's what I love, that, you know, when people walk out with that bag and then it sort of has a story, and then it's not just a regular cloth bag, and people are, you know, wondering, what is it made of? And then that's kind of like the name that I wanted to have. The what are you made of is like the thing that everybody wants to know, or should be a story behind everything that we're buying, because it shouldn't just be made in China and then, I don't know, you know, it's just $2 or something. But if I walk out of a hospital and I'm going to be using that bag at a grocery store and it looks different, and I know because it's made out of plastic, it's going to last my lifetime. So I'm going to be excited to tell that story, and I'm going to own it every time I'm walking out. And we had one question or one comment from Emily Maybella, that she works as a nurse in the hospital, and she would love for her hospital to do this too. What role do nurses play in that aspect?
Nurses play the most important role, because nurses are on the front line. Nurses are the ones assisting the doctors in unwrapping this material. Nurses deal with this material and all the other disposable medical plastics more than anyone else. So nurses' roles are the most important. Be vocal, push programs, talk to your leadership about you care about that all this material is going into the landfill. things are going to start becoming a little bit easier for circularity due to the breakdown in the recycling industry globally, domestically, and we don't have to dig too deep into that, but it's going to be not only an environmental imperative, but a financial one moving forward to be able to segregate these materials and hopefully redefine the value of them and reassign the value to them and give them multiple lives, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to not only stymie pulling out petrochemicals from the ground, but create products that give people a better sense of what they're buying and how they care about it.
Exactly, and I've looked into some numbers for this. Some hospitals, when they're recycling it, just the bags alone that they collect blue wrap in, it's like that, and within the thousands. And then the pounds of bags that they collect it's hundreds or just in thousands alone. So I'm imagining when the nurses are just a regular everyday patient and they're telling the hospital this, it's gonna make it could make financial sense for them to not throw it in the trash, right?
Absolutely, and one thing you touched on, which is the bag liners, we're also seeing regional bans and on the bag liners, because as the recycling system is broken down, recyclers are saying we only want clean streams. Single stream recycling was something that was created that was just it's a terrible idea, and it made us not care about sorting products.
Yeah.
So when it comes to bag liners, as you're talking about, the bags that the materials thrown into, we're seeing all over the country that recyclers are not taking those, and we've actually been reached out to try to come up with a solution for a circular bag liner. But it's a difficult program. But you're going to be seeing it all over the place. The need to try to come up with programs.
And you and I, we know about working in the recycling industry too, that the bags just get caught up in the machines and they just cause a big problem. So I mean, that's just like a whole segment in and of itself. And then just focusing on the blue wraps here, you guys, we can make a case for that it's environmentally sustainable, so it's not in the trash. It's not gonna be there for like hundreds of years. Something like the plastic stays for centuries. I remember seeing something about if Christopher Columbus came with a plastic bag or bottle, it will still be in that same shape as it is today. So that just blows my mind that centuries down the road that we could still have that stuff out there. So I'm glad that you guys are working in that space to kind of divert that. And then bringing it back to the current times, how has the coronavirus pandemic affected your business in that sense? I know a lot of hospitals are, busy with treating patients with the coronavirus, but are you seeing that it has sort of hurt you negatively, positively? How's it going?
So it's been a double-edged sword. We had to halt a lot of our blue wrap collection programs just for downstream safety. Hospitals are throwing things out. They need to throw things out just for general safety. But we have made a pivot, and we have started making products, PPE products, not only out of sterilization wrap, but out of factory seconds SMS polypropylene. Right here we have some blue wrap face masks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and these are, as you may know, blue wrap is made out of SMS polypropylene, which is spun bond, melt blown spun bond, which is what N95 masks are made out of in different variations. So the bacterial filtration efficiency of this material is 98.5%. So we began making blue wrap face masks all the way back in February, and we've made almost 200,000 of them.
Oh my God.
And sold them and distributed them and donated them all across the country. Yeah. And we've also pivoted to making isolation gowns. We've made around 500,000 isolation gowns for state governments, fire departments, police departments, hospitals.
Nice.
And so we've used the opportunity as a way to create products through our material connections that will help people. But we are really excited to be able to get back to collecting and keeping plastics out of landfill and innovating on different ways to make new products. But COVID has definitely been a double-edged sword.
So I love the ingenuity that this material is not just, can be applied to making one thing, but it can be applied to making personal protective equipment, the face masks, the gowns, everything. And we had one question come in that where can a person buy that? I think it's from Emily. Are you giving these as like donations to those firefighters, police persons, and hospitals, or can an individual person buy it too?
Yeah, so we sell these the masks on circularblu.com, and if people need donations, we've probably donated like 10,000 masks so far.
Wow.
And well, early on, when the supply chain was completely broken, it was sometimes very urgent that people had protective masks. So we did a lot of donating. We sell them on our website. When it comes to the gowns, we're doing that more on a larger scale. But when it comes to the masks, we sell them on the website. But if there's people in need currently, just shoot us an email and we can talk about what we can do. Nice.
And I imagine, I know from researching your company too that you guys not only just have environmental impact or the business case for working with it, but you also have a community impact too, that you donate a portion of your profits to nonprofits, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier on, when we started this company, we worked with people with disabilities to sort the material and to help us sew the bags. And once we began to grow, we unfortunately had to close that program down because we needed to scale up our manufacturing capacity. But since then, we've been donating to a nonprofit called Work Without Limits, which helps people with disabilities find gainful employment in Massachusetts and New England. So every year we donate a portion of our profits to them in hopes that, because the circular economy is an inclusive economy, and inclusion means valuing everyone's work and being able to find value in work for everyone. So helping people with disabilities get gainful employment, anything we can do in that arena, we will do, and we'll continue doing in perpetuity, I imagine.
Nice. And that's one of the key things that I love knowing about companies, and I want to highlight as much as possible, that it's not just about making a product and selling it and just, making a quick buck, but the companies really do want to make a difference in the community that they're from. And when I found out about Circular Blu doing that with Working Without Limits, it opened up to me this concept that there are even organizations working towards getting people with disabilities gainful employment. So I give you guys kudos for that. One of my favorite questions to ask all the speakers that I ask now is what was one of the most challenging and most proud achievement throughout this whole process to where you are today?
Well,
that's a deep question. Yeah, you've got a lot of different answers possibly.
From a straight business standpoint, we have never engaged or gotten any funding or investment money. So we're an organic growth company, and we have been in business for 9 years and working to be able to create infrastructures, brand new circular infrastructures that didn't exist, and actually be able to say we've helped recycle 1 million pounds of blue wrap and to create hundreds of thousands of products. It's been a challenge, and now we're extremely proud to be able to be self-sufficient and engaged enough in the healthcare community to work on new product lines and new material streams that we can turn into new products. to overall help the environment, because at the core we are we're sustainability people, we're environmentalists, and the most important thing is to keep plastics out of landfill and hopefully put ourselves out of a job one day and get plastics entirely.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much for joining us here today, Christopher Bodkin. Do you have anything else you want to tell your viewers too?
No, well, thank you guys for listening, and be safe out there. Thank you very much for having me. You have a great series, and I'm very excited to see the other people that you talk to. So thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for being here. And I want to tell viewers too that they can go on Circular Blu's profile and then check out some of the stuff that they've done. And also you can email them about getting PPE for your facility or just as an individual. So make sure you check out their website as well. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.